Hello and welcome to the 19th episode of Total Drama Multiverse Reloaded. This is really crazy that we're already almost at episode 20. But first we got this one. So let's just get into it with our pre-challenge section where we'll just quickly go over how everyone's standing. I think that's a good thing to do with the pre-challenge sections when they don't have much to do. So Sky is still being pretty paranoid, is with the other paranoid person now, Daisy. They are both in an alliance. Daisy still has Ash and 2D under her wing. And then as for Mel wants to still be chill with Alice, but Alice is pissed off at Mel the same way she was with Six. And we'll see if she has time to reconnect just like Six did. Because of that, Mel is inclined to go more towards Daisy just because she has in the past, but she's not like fully a member of that alliance. And then we already just said Alice. And then finally, Patrice, Ezekiel, and Tristan all have their golden trio. And Patrice and Ezekiel are kind of in that stage where it's like, okay, they're not dating, but like they're dating. So yeah, they're flirting with each other very awkwardly, though I should say, because it's Ezekiel of all people as the guy. Patrice not as much. But yeah, and Tristan's just loving it so much. But yeah, let's get into our challenge section. This is a pretty interesting challenge today, and I do want to say before we do start our challenge that it's been a little bit. So I am going to say, do any of y'all have some challenge suggestions? Because I think our last one was, I don't know, like episode 16? I don't remember. Yeah, I think so. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. It's been a bit. So if y'all have any challenge suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to use them because I've used almost every challenge suggestion I've gotten outside of a few. But let's get into this one. This is Challenge 41, King of the Ice Hill. Not a great name, but it's King of the Hill with ice. So, yeah. Now that it's November, the snow has covered the island. I know, not for me, guys. I'm in Texas. That barely ever happens. But in this universe, they're in Canada, actually. So, yeah, that's accurate. Snow has covered the island, freezing the mountain peaks, all three of them. Lauren has placed a golden throne and a flag labeled King or Queen on the peak of each of the three mountains. The contestants must fight to be sitting on one of the three thrones when the time runs out to win immunity. That means 3 people can win immunity today. All powers except teleportation and hyperspeed are allowed. Now, let's quickly go over. Everyone here is still human or pretty much human. The only person here who isn't 100% human is Alice, because she's kind of like a cartoon, but she's still pretty much human. But there are still some powers. Tristan, Ezekiel, Patrice, 2D, Ash, and, we'll get to Daisy. All of them are just basic people. Some are pretty good survivalists, but yeah. Alice has her ink abilities, but it's nothing insane. Daisy has her stuff for Malik, but again, isn't like too crazy. She does not have access to the Vanny mask anymore, obviously. And then Sky is the reason why we put these restrictions. I've had to put a lot of restrictions on Sky so that she just doesn't freaking destroy everyone in this series. So she's not allowed to do the thing where she rips her legs to make her as fast as Sonic. She's not allowed to teleport, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that there's a few plans you can go for this one, because a lot of people have alliance members that they're loyal to. So I think the first thing that happens, though, is Daisy wants to, because Daisy does genuinely value the alliance with Sky. She views the other two as pawns, but she does genuinely value the alliance because they do genuinely have something in common. But she wants to team up with Sky to try to get to one of the hills, and then maybe they can fight for it at the end. But Sky, before she can even offer that to Sky, Sky is just like, hell no, and leaves and runs to the right mountain. The one on the right. Daisy is like, oh, okay. And then she decides that she's just going to manipulate Ash and 2D into going to the middle mountain, and they can be body blockers for him. Which they're like, yep, okay. Now, I again want to reiterate this. Ash and 2D are still under the spell, but they still are themselves. They're not just slaves, okay? They're not just slaves. They still retain their personality, but they'll do pretty much whatever Daisy says at this point. Yeah. And then as for Mel, I think she'd just be like, okay, and she goes to the left one, and Alice follows her because Alice doesn't want Mel to win immunity. Meanwhile, the Golden Trio, they decide to divide and conquer, sending Patrice to the left one, Ezekiel to the middle one, and Tristan to the right one. So, for simplicity's sake, we'll put everyone who's going to the left over here, which is Patrice, Mel, and Alice. Everyone who's going to the middle here, which is you, and you, and you. And then Sky and Tristan are going to the right mountain, which kind of sucks for Tristan, because Tristan is probably the weakest contestant here in terms of physical strength and stamina and all that, and Sky is easily the strongest. So, yeah, kind of sucks to suck for Tristan. But I think we can start with our middle area. I think that Ezekiel would try to take this very stealthily, because he would see, okay, Daisy, Ash, and 2D are all coming. Oh, and remember, Ash and 2D are still friends with Ezekiel, but they're even more under the spell now. And they've been trying to kind of distance themselves from Ezekiel, because Ezekiel was trying to break the spell with them, but it didn't work. And now Ezekiel's kind of just went and hanged out with Tristan and Patrice more, so they kind of haven't really interacted. And Ezekiel thinks that they're literally just slaves at this point. But yeah, Ezekiel is going kind of like through the woods and through areas that Daisy, Ash, and 2D wouldn't really be able to see. As for the left mountain with Patrice, Alice, and Mel, Patrice is just kind of vibing, while Alice and Mel are like freaking fighting, just all out fighting. Alice is like restraining her to from going further, and Mel's like trying to figure out why Alice is even that mad when she's literally said they're good. So yeah, that's kind of just a whole fight going on right now. And then as for the right mountain, I think that Tristan would see that Sky's the only person there outside of Tristan, because they all three, or well, I guess all 9 of them probably meet at their mountain peaks around the same time, because nobody's like super, super fast. Except Patrice. I think Patrice could probably be pretty athletic. Yeah, Patrice, and then obviously probably Sky, who would keep going and then see Tristan and then go back. And Daisy's athletic, but whatever. She has to stake around to wait for Ash and 2D, which the latter of which is like a 40-year-old man, which I just realized that 2D is like 40. I guess he's younger in this timeline. Whatever. All that to say, Sky and Tristan make a truce for the challenge so that they're not trying to fight, mainly because Tristan doesn't want to deal with all of that. I think that about halfway up the middle mountain, Ezekiel's been following Daisy and Ash closely. And I think that he devised a plan. He doesn't really have anything to do it with, but he's devised a plan to kidnap the guys one by one and just pick them off. So, oh, by the way, they're not allowed to kill in this challenge. They're trying to reserve their one-up mushrooms for only necessary reasons. So if you kill somebody, you will be disqualified. But what Ezekiel does is he jumps out from behind a bush while 2D goes to take a leak. After 2D pulls his pants up, I should say. And he knocks 2D out with 2 ounces of pressure to the neck. Because I feel like Ezekiel would probably know how to do stuff like that, especially after being able to access stuff like to the multiverse. He's able to attend classes and stuff. Because I'm sure him and Lauren, along with Chris and Chef, have all gone to all sorts of realities as like family trips and stuff. So he does that. He's learned that. Um, and that makes 2D drop. He's not dead. He's just knocked out, and he just drags 2D into the woods and just leaves him there. And Daisy hardly even notices that 2D's gone. So then we can go back to the left mountain, and on the left mountain, Patrice has just kind of been watching. Like she's so far up the hill now that she knows she's basically won, and she's just been watching. Oh, by the way, remember it's all snowing and icy. I should say that for later. She's just been sitting there watching the fight between Alice and Mel, because at this point Mel's lost all interest. She's just fighting. And they're like throwing snow at each other. Alice is like using ink tendrils and all kinds of stuff. And Patrice is just sitting there in just in the snow, just watching them, wishing she had some popcorn. And then on the right mountain, I think it's gotten to the point where Tristan is like just freezing cold and is just done with this challenge. I don't think Tristan would be able to handle this kind of thing. So I think sacrificing her own time, this is technically allowed because it's not helping her, it's hurting her. Sky grabs Tristan and then rifts them both back to the cabins and makes Tristan some hot chocolate, all that kind of stuff. And Tristan thanks her for that. But Sky is allowed to rift down the mountain because that hurts her time, but she's not allowed to rift back up to her spot, so she has to restart. Now, I think that next up, we probably have Ezekiel going to try and get Ash, and I think he succeeds in this, and probably similar in a similar way. There we go. Brain needs to freaking catch up. Which leaves Daisy by herself. Again, she probably doesn't even notice. But by this time, 2D wakes up. And 2D, being an idiot, starts walking down the mountain thinking he's going the right way. So we'll come back to that in a sec. But there's about 5 minutes left on the timer. And Patrice notices this, but so does Mel and Alice. So they both like push each other over and start rushing up the mountain. So Patrice, seeing this, turns around and starts running up the mountain as well. 2D, we'll come back to him. He's kind of retarded, and he walks all the way down the mountain, looks at the 3 mountains, and he's like, he does it another time. He's like, I'm just going to go over to the right. And he goes to the right mountain after going all the way down, and whenever he goes up, he's actually ahead of Sky, who is running as fast as she can through the snow to get to the top of that mountain. And 2D, seeing her run, decides, okay, I should probably run too. He sees her running behind him. Then on the middle mountain, we can... Oh yeah, let me also move that. On the middle mountain... Also take Tristan out of the challenge. On the middle mountain, there we go. Ash is knocked out. 2D's left. It's just Daisy and Ezekiel. And I think as Daisy gets to the throne, she's like, it's not as big as my throne, but it shall suffice. And she goes to sit down. And Ezekiel jumps out, tackles her. Remember, these two do not like each other anymore. Like, they actually strongly dislike each other. Downright hate each other. After their alliance fell apart during the pre-merge. Well, they have a full-on fight, and when there's 10 seconds remaining, I think that Ezekiel is able to just get onto the throne, winning Ezekiel immunity. However, we still need to talk... I should probably leave Tristan there. We still need to talk about the other 2 mountains. So, I think that we'll talk about... On the left mountain, Alice and Mel are way faster when they're like running than Patrice is. She's a survivalist, but the snow is really getting to her. She's still only like 13. So compared to 2 adult women who both, or at least one of them, has superpowers. The other one's just very athletic from what we've seen. Well, they end up making it above Patrice. When Patrice gets the idea to a one last ditch effort to throw a huge snowball as big as she can get straight into Alice's face, and Alice whips around, and Patrice just points at Mel, and Alice tackles Mel, and because Alice isn't that bright either, Alice starts like not ripping her apart, but like pulling her with all her ink tendrils, and there's nothing that Mel can really do at this point, and Patrice just sneaks by, sits down, and wins immunity. So BFGF has won immunity. But on the right side, 2D probably pops out a hip, because we'll still say, I think it'd be kind of funny if he's also 40 and he's just acting like a freaking 20-year-old just because he's that childish, or even less than that, like a 15-year-old. But that's also probably the reason why he's like probably the only character that hasn't even had feelings for anyone else on the show, except it's him and Ash. No, I remember saying Ash had a crush on Daisy, but it's not going anywhere, because it's just for jokes. Yeah, so, yeah, he's probably the only one who hasn't or will not have some, because I do have some other ships planned, just not yet. Anyways, spoilers, he pops out a hip, and Sky is able to pretty easily sit on the throne, meaning that our winners for today's challenge are Sky, Ezekiel, and Patrice. Now, I'm confirming it right now. 2D is 40 years old in this canon timeline. I'm confirming that right now, just for simplicity's sake. So I will move everyone to their positions, and honestly, let's just go to the post-challenge section, where I think that we can start with the Golden Trio. Tristan kind of feels a little sad about not being able to handle anything and being so weak, but I think that Ezekiel and Patrice are like, hey, it's alright, we still won, which doesn't really help, but I think that Ezekiel and Patrice are loving the fact that they both won, and that they're both safe, but they're also worried because they think that there's still a chance that everyone over here, like all of these people, switches up and takes out Tristan for being a part of the Golden Trio. But they also are they start going around thinking this, being paranoid. They start going around being like, we should never vote out Tristan because Tristan's so weak, and we should never vote out Tristan because we can get Tristan out at any time. And while that helps, even though that wasn't the plan for most people already, that definitely helps them. It makes Tristan feel a little bad, which Patrice recognizes and tells Ezekiel to stop. Both of them were doing it, but yeah. All that to say, let's talk about over here. Mel and Alice are completely done with each other at this point. They both want each other out, and they will do whatever it takes to do it. That does mean that Alice will go to Patrice, Ezekiel, and a pretty sad Tristan, and she's like, alright, I need you three to help me vote out Mel tonight. And they're probably like, as long as it's not one of us. So the four of them are going to be voting for Mel. Meanwhile, Mel has the numbers, or at least she thinks she does. So she goes to 2D, Ash, and Daisy, and she's like, hey, I need y'all tonight. I want to get out Alice. And they're like, okay, well, not only can they get in even better with Mel, but they'll, as long as it's not one of them, right? But the only flip vote here is Sky, who is kind of not even a flip vote. I tried to make this kind of, ooh, who's she gonna go for? But I think it's kind of obvious. She's genuinely bonding with Daisy, which she never expected, to be honest. So I think that in a 5-4 vote, this is going to be the end of Alice Angel's game, y'all. I don't think there's many Alice Angel supporters out there that are watching this show. I think that, honestly, if I had to pick, I don't know. Y'all can definitely tell me root for one boy, one girl, or one Tristan. One boy and one girl. Say your top boy that you're rooting for, your top girl you're rooting for. If you were rooting for Tristan, just replace one of those two with Tristan. I do want to see who people are rooting for, because I think the most popular right now, I would probably guess Daisy's really popular, but I don't think people would want her to win. I think Tristan's popular. I think Sky might be, and I think Ezekiel might be. But definitely let me know, along with letting me know your challenge suggestions if you have any of those. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this episode. It'll be a little bit shorter, right? Well, actually, no, it'll probably be about average. And I can't wait to catch y'all in the next one, which will be our 20th episode of Season 2, guys. That's insane. See ya. The villains, who I'm just going to use Zomboss to represent, since there's so many of them now, have all crash landed in this reality. Now, this reality is in complete destruction. As far as they can tell, there's nothing here except just crazy whack jobs. Now, this reality is actually Batman, or Bruce's reality, the DC reality. You see, Chris forgot, whenever getting people, he forgot to pause this universe. So Batman just disappeared from Gotham City. And because of that, all the villains were able to not just take over the city, but the entire planet. That's right. No one is. Everybody who's left is either villains, gangs, like no civilian. Civilian life is over. It's all cooked. Okay, it's all cooked. Well, the villains were able to run into a random person, or at least they thought it was a random person who was just sitting under a bridge, just crying. They were all gonna set up camp under the bridge that night, because they were gonna try to wait out that little war so that they could make it to their planning reality, the final reality. Well, they find this person crying, and this person is actually Harley Quinn. Now, she's just under here. Oh, I do want to say quickly, just like a few other characters, this is no particular version of Harley Quinn. I know this Pinterest icon is from the show. I've never even seen that show, though. I know Harley Quinn, though. Everyone knows Harley Quinn. So this isn't any particular version of Harley Quinn. This is my version of Harley Quinn. Anyways, so Harley Quinn is just like, oh, great, another gang of weirdos. Y'all can just kill me, honestly. I don't really care. And they're like, I think that at first, a few of them would be like, okay. Like Sen or Zombie Wanda or Malik would probably want to take her soul or something. But I think that Zomboss would be like, wait, maybe we can get her on our side. And he'd send probably, who do I think is the best sweet talker here? Probably Rouge. No, I think actually he'd send the other insane crazy girl that he has on his side. So he sends out Toga, and Toga goes to Harley. You can already tell, just if you know these two characters, you know they get along. Toga might actually be too much for Harley in some ways, depending on the Harley we're talking about. But I'm leaving that in. But I think that this version of Harley would like her. And Toga goes up and is basically like, hey, are you good? And Harley explains that she was with a group, or with a gang that was being run by the Joker. And the Joker decided to kick her out, and because he was her boyfriend, but he decided that he didn't need Harley anymore. He thought Harley was too crazy for him, which is ironic considering he's the Joker. And he got with the Catwoman instead, who is a villain. I know sometimes she's not, but she's a villain right now. And yeah, that she got kicked out the gang by the rest of the people, and she definitely, even her best friend Poison Ivy didn't even try to help her. So yeah. She's just waiting. She's just been waiting under this bridge for some gang to come along and kill her. But this gang, well, it's not really a gang, but this team of villains doesn't want to kill her. They want to get villains. So Toga is able to convince Harley. She explains the plan, and she also says, "Hey, Harley, After that, after we conquer that reality, we can conquer all the realities, which means you can get back at Joker. You can get back at everyone, just like I plan on doing. Societies suck, and we need to destroy them all. So I think that's something Toga and Harley definitely agree on. Harley already destroyed the society, but now this new gang society she doesn't like either. So yeah, that they were able to convince Harley, and Harley leads them to kind of like her little shelter. It's definitely not even enough. I don't even think Venom could fit in it. So they all upgrade the shelter, which she's grateful for. So yeah, now Harley is a official member and the last official member of the villains team. What you're looking at is the entire villains team. So we have Dr. Sloan from Fortnite, Sin from Murder Drones, Zombie Wanda from Marvel Zombies, King Andreas from Amphibia, Bowser from Mario, Elmo from Sesame Street, that's a weird one, Venom from Marvel, Azula from Avatar The Last Airbender, Death from Puss in Boots, Malik from Dark Deception, Darth Vader from Star Wars, Magica from DuckTales, The Mimic from Five Nights at Freddy's, William Afton, aka Springtrap, also from Five Nights at Freddy's, Rouge the Bat from Sonic, Dr. Zomboss, aka Dr. Edgar, the head scientist from last season and now from PvZ, Toga from My Hero Academia, and our newest member, Harley Quinn from DC. So yeah, this is our entire villains team right here, y'all. Tell me what you think about these guys. Who's your favorite in the comments below? I know I've asked you to do a lot of stuff in the comments below, but you know what? You don't have to, but please do. The heroes, who once again I'm only going to be using Marcy to represent because she's the main one who matters to this, they have made their way to Amphibia, but it looks a lot different than when Marcy last saw it. Without any sort of Andreas, the Newtopia kind of fell, and the Toads, along with Sasha, took their opportunity to conquer Utopia before the season 1 finale of the show even happens. In this timeline, obviously things change for the worse, and it really affects Anne. Anne also finds out about Sasha being the problem, and after the ice caps melt, she's able to make her way to confront Sasha, who doesn't really care and just wants to know how they can leave. And now that she can rule over everything, it should be a lot easier to find a way to leave. But Anne really cares about the frogs that she's harming, because it's Amphibia, right? There's frogs, newts, and toads are the 3 main species. And yeah, that doesn't go well. There's a huge sword fight on top of the towers, just like there is in season 1, just it's a different tower this time. It actually is probably in the castle. And Anne leaves, and now Sasha, along with Grime and the other toads, have completely conquered everything. So whenever Marcy and the rest of the hero team makes it, they just find the whole place in ruin, and they're able to end up finding a secret group of toads. A secret group of frogs and newts. Not really that many toads, maybe a few, that have all been hiding out. And when they come to the hideout, they're able to find Anne, who's just depressed. And Marcy comes up to Anne. There's your Pinterest icon. She comes up to Anne, and after they geek out and they're all happy and friends again, Anne explains the situation while Marcy explains her situation. And I think this is also where Marcy would come clean about the fact that she got him stuck there on purpose, just because she'd probably be freaking out about how bad things got, knowing Andreas so much quicker, and Andreas is evil, than knowing the Sasha being as bad as she is right now, on top of knowing about all the multiversal stuff. Marcy would just let all that guilt spill out onto Anne. And at first Anne would be mad, but I think that seeing everything going on, and also seeing the other, 8 people on the heroes team, Anne would forgive her, and she would decide to join the heroes' side. Now, to keep the rest of the frogs, toads, and newts safe, she would decide not to have any of them join. So she just tells him to lay low and that she will find a way to stop all of this. So yeah, Sasha has officially become the villain here. Now, saying that, I should clarify that Sasha will not become a member of the villains team, but she still will be a kind of important member to the storyline going forward.